Most people think jealousy is easy to recognize. They imagine angry faces, fake smiles, obvious hate, or direct insults filled with bitterness. But real jealousy almost never looks like that. The most dangerous kind of envy is quiet. It smiles at you. It asks questions. It pretends to support you. And that is exactly why most people never notice it until the damage is already done. Because jealous people rarely attack directly. They do something much smarter. They plant small emotional doubts inside your mind and let you destroy your own confidence from the inside. And the scary part is this: they all use the same patterns, the same phrases, the same reactions, the same psychological tricks. Once you start noticing them, you will never hear conversations the same way again. The first question sounds innocent, but it reveals everything. How did you afford that? Imagine this moment. You finally buy something you worked hard for. Maybe it's a new phone, a car, better clothes, a new apartment, or maybe it's simply something that makes you feel proud of yourself for the first time in a long time. You are happy, your energy changes, you smile differently, and then someone looks at you and says, "Wow, how did you afford that?" At first, it sounds normal, almost harmless. But pay attention carefully. They didn't congratulate you. They didn't say you deserved it. They didn't celebrate your success. They immediately focused on your money. Why? Because when insecure people see you enjoying something they don't have, it creates discomfort inside them. Not inspiration, not admiration, discomfort. And they need a way to reduce that discomfort, so they ask questions designed to make you explain yourself. And the moment you start explaining, you lose. You begin saying things like, "Well, it wasn't that expensive. I got a discount. I saved for a long time." It's honestly not a big deal. And without realizing it, you just minimized your own achievement. Something that made you proud 5 seconds ago suddenly becomes something you feel forced to justify. That was the goal all along. Because jealous people don't always want your success. Sometimes they simply don't want you to feel powerful. And the easiest way to weaken someone is not through attack, it's through self-doubt. That's why confidence scares insecure people. A confident person does not over-explain, they don't beg for approval, they don't apologize for their happiness. And this is where everything changes. You do not owe everyone access to your private life. You do not owe people financial explanations. You do not owe them detailed justifications for your success. Sometimes the strongest response is the shortest one. "I worked for it." That's it. No nervous laughter. No long story, no unnecessary explanation. Because people who truly support you don't investigate your happiness, they celebrate it. So the next time someone asks you that question, pause for a second and observe the energy behind it. Because sometimes what looks like curiosity is actually discomfort disguised as conversation. There's a very specific moment in life when this second question appears. Not when you're weak, not when you are confused, not when you are lost. It appears the moment you finally become certain about something, the moment you decide to change your life. And that's exactly why this question is so dangerous. Do you really think that's a good idea? Sounds normal, right? Almost responsible, almost caring. But listen carefully. Sometimes people don't ask questions to protect you. Sometimes they ask questions to project their own fears onto you. Imagine this, you finally have a plan. Maybe you want to start a business, leave your old job, move to another city, build a YouTube channel, learn a new skill, change your entire lifestyle. For the first time in a long time, you feel excited, nervous, but alive because deep inside, you know growth is finally beginning. And then you tell someone about your plan. You expect encouragement, support, at least a little excitement. But instead they say, "Are you sure about that? What if it fails? Isn't that risky? Maybe you should think more about it." And suddenly your energy changes. The confidence you felt 5 seconds ago begins to disappear. Now your mind is full of fear. What if they're right? What if I fail? What if I'm not ready? And this is the part most people never notice. That person didn't ask how you were planning to succeed. They didn't ask what strategy you had. They didn't ask how much work you already invested. They went directly to fear. Why? Because your courage reminds insecure people of everything they were too afraid to do themselves. Your movement exposes their hesitation. Your ambition becomes a mirror. And instead of facing their own fear, they try to transfer it into you. Not aggressively, not openly, subtly. Just enough to make you doubt yourself. Because once doubt enters your mind, they no longer need to stop you. You stop yourself. And that's how dreams quietly die. Not because people attacked them directly. Because someone planted fear at the wrong moment. Now listen carefully, because this part matters. Every important decision in life feels scary. That's normal. But there is a massive difference between someone who genuinely cares about you and someone who secretly wants you to stay small. A real supporter says, "It might be difficult, but I believe in you." There's caution, but also confidence. Jealous people don't do that. They only feed uncertainty. And the worst part? They often sound intelligent while doing it. That's why you must learn to protect your mindset. Not every opinion deserves emotional access to your future. Sometimes the strongest thing you can say is, "Yes, I'm sure." No long explanations, no desperate defending, no trying to convince everyone. Because confident people do not ask the entire world for permission before changing their lives. And here's the truth nobody wants to admit. People who never take risks will always criticize the ones who do. Not because they know better, but because your courage makes them uncomfortable. So the next time someone questions your vision, pay attention to how their words make you feel. Do they inspire clarity? Or do they only create fear? Because the people who truly care about your growth may challenge you. They will never secretly hope you stay stuck. And sometimes the biggest sign that you're evolving is that your growth starts making other people uncomfortable. There comes a point in your life where people start reacting differently to you. Not because the world changed, because you changed. You think differently now. You speak with more confidence. You stop accepting disrespect. You stop shrinking yourself just to make other people comfortable. And the moment that happens, this phrase appears. Who do you think you are? Sometimes they say it directly, but most of the time it comes disguised. Oh, you've changed. You think you're better than everyone now? Before, you weren't like this. And even though it sounds casual, the effect is deep because they are no longer criticizing your actions. They are criticizing your identity. And that hurts more. For a moment, you feel guilty for growing. You start questioning yourself. Am I becoming arrogant? Maybe I should calm down. Maybe I'm acting differently. And without realizing it, you begin feeling pressure to return to the smaller version of yourself, just to avoid rejection. But this is where you need to see the truth clearly. Your growth is not the problem. Your growth simply exposes people who refuse to grow themselves. Because when you evolve, you break old dynamics. People who were comfortable with the insecure version of you suddenly feel uncomfortable around your confidence. Before you stayed quiet, you tolerated things, you asked for less. You needed approval. Now you set boundaries. Now you value yourself. Now you speak with certainty. And not everyone benefits from that version of you. That's why insecure people often try to make personal growth look like arrogance. Because if they can make you feel guilty for evolving, they can pull you back down. Think about it carefully. Who gets uncomfortable when someone becomes stronger? Who feels threatened when someone gains confidence, discipline, self-respect, or emotional control? People who secretly benefited from your weakness. That's why some people only love the version of you they could control, the quiet version, the insecure version. The version that never challenged anything. But the moment you start becoming more powerful mentally, emotionally, or financially, the energy changes. Suddenly you're too much. Suddenly you changed. Suddenly they miss the old you. But what they really miss is easier access to you. And this is where most people make a mistake. They confuse growth with betrayal, so they start shrinking themselves again, speaking softer, dreaming smaller, acting less confident, all just to keep everyone comfortable. But listen carefully. You cannot evolve while staying emotionally loyal to the version of yourself that no longer exists. Growth requires separation. Not everyone will understand your transformation. Some people will question it. Some will criticize it. Some will try to shame you for it. And that's normal. Because every time someone upgrades their life, insecure people feel left behind. Your confidence becomes a reminder of what they abandoned inside themselves. That's why your response matters. You do not need to explain your evolution to everyone. You do not need to beg people to understand your mindset. Sometimes the strongest response is simple. Yes, I changed. No guilt, no apology, no emotional speech. Because changing is not a crime. Outgrowing old limitations is not arrogance. It's maturity. And the people who truly love you will not punish you for becoming stronger. They will adapt, support you. Celebrate your evolution, the others. They only miss the version of you that required less from them. So the next time someone says, "Who do you think you are?" understand what they're really asking. They're asking why you no longer see yourself the same way. And that question alone tells you everything you need to know. There's something strange that happens when you finally start feeling good about yourself. You don't even have to say anything. People notice it anyway. Your energy changes. Your posture changes. The way you walk, speak, and express yourself becomes different. You laugh louder. You stop hiding your personality. You enjoy your life more openly. And that's usually when this phrase appears. Don't you think you're doing a little too much? Sometimes it sounds like a joke. Sometimes it sounds like advice. Sometimes it even comes with a smile. Relax a little. You're getting too confident. You're attracting too much attention. And in that exact moment, something inside you shrinks. You become quieter, smaller, more careful. You suddenly start wondering if your happiness is making other people uncomfortable. But here's the question almost nobody asks. Too much? For who? Because what feels like confidence to you may feel threatening to insecure people. What feels like self-expression to you may feel overwhelming to people who are emotionally disconnected from themselves. And that's the real issue. Jealous people are not disturbed by your success alone. They are disturbed by your comfort with yourself. Your confidence reminds them of their insecurity. Your joy reminds them of their emptiness. Your authenticity exposes everything they suppress inside themselves every single day. And instead of healing their own frustration, they try to reduce your light. Not directly, subtly, with comments designed to make you tone yourself down, speak less, show less, celebrate less, become less visible. Because insecure people feel safer when everyone around them stays emotionally small. But listen carefully to this truth. You are not too much. You are simply becoming too powerful for people who were only comfortable with your insecurity. And once you understand that, everything changes. Because most people spend their entire lives shrinking themselves just to avoid judgment. They hide their personality, hold their excitement, hold their success, hold their happiness. Also, other people can feel comfortable around them. But what does that create? A quiet life filled with emotional suppression. And the saddest part? The people who truly love you never ask you to become smaller in the first place. Real supporters do not feel threatened by your confidence. They enjoy seeing you happy. They celebrate your energy. They encourage your growth. They feel inspired by your light instead of irritated by it. Jealous people react differently. They want you neutral, not shining too brightly, not speaking too loudly, not growing too visibly, because your confidence reminds them of everything they abandoned inside themselves. That's why you must stop apologizing for your happiness. Stop lowering your energy every time someone becomes uncomfortable with your confidence. You are not responsible for managing everyone else's insecurity. And this is where emotional strength becomes important. The next time someone says you're too much, don't immediately shrink yourself. Pause. Observe the energy behind the words. Are they genuinely helping you? Or are they uncomfortable watching you become visible? Because those are two completely different things. Sometimes the strongest response is simple. I'm finally happy with who I am. That's it. No guilt, no explanation, no apology. Because confidence is not arrogance. Self-expression is not selfishness. And enjoying your life is not something you should feel ashamed of. Remember this carefully. Your light will always bother people who are committed to darkness. But that does not mean you should dim yourself to protect their comfort. It means you are finally becoming someone impossible to ignore. And for insecure people, that is deeply uncomfortable. There is one final question that sounds harmless on the surface, but psychologically, it reveals more than almost anything else. It usually doesn't appear when you're struggling. It appears after you succeed, after the hard work pays off, after the results become visible, after people can no longer deny that you actually did it. And then someone looks at your success and asks, "Did someone help you with that?" Listen to that question carefully, because most people never notice what's hidden inside it. Imagine this moment. You spent months working towards something important. You sacrificed comfort. You stayed disciplined when nobody was watching. You failed, retarded, learned, improved. There were nights where you wanted to quit, moments where you doubted yourself completely, but you kept going. And finally, you made it. Maybe your channel started growing, maybe your business improved, maybe your body changed, maybe your mindset became stronger, maybe your entire life began transforming. For once, you feel proud of yourself, and then someone says, "Wow, did someone help you?" At first, it sounds innocent, maybe even supportive. But notice what's missing. They didn't say, "You worked hard. You're talented. I'm proud of you. You really earned this." Instead, they immediately searched for another explanation. Why? Because insecure people struggle to accept the idea that you became successful through your own effort. That reality makes them uncomfortable. It destroys the limited image they created of you inside their mind. So they search for external reasons. Luck, coatings, help. Anything except your discipline. And this is where the psychological damage begins. Because if you are not emotionally aware, that question enters your mind. You start saying things like, "Well, I did have some help. I guess I got lucky. It wasn't only me." And slowly, you begin disconnecting from your own achievement. You hand away your credit piece by piece, just to make other people more comfortable with your success. But listen carefully. Yes, support matters. Yes, mentors matter. Yes, opportunities matter. But none of those people woke up every day and fought your internal battles for you. They did not carry your discipline. They did not survive your self-doubt. They did not stay committed when things became difficult. You did. That matters. And owning your success is not arrogance, it's honesty. Jealous people want you to feel guilty for your achievements because guilt weakens confidence. A confident person accepts what they earned without shrinking it, without apologizing for it, without pretending it was all accidental. And the people who genuinely support you never try to reduce your accomplishments. They amplify them. They say, "You deserve this. I knew you could do it. You earned every bit of it." That is real support. Everything else is insecurity disguised as curiosity. So the next time someone asks that question, stop feeling pressured to minimize yourself. You don't need a long explanation. You don't need to make your success sound smaller just to protect someone else's ego. Sometimes the strongest response is simple. "I worked hard for it." And then move on. Because the moment you stop over-explaining yourself, you stop giving insecure people power over your confidence. And this is where everything connects. All 5 questions carry the same hidden purpose: to make you doubt yourself, to make you shrink yourself, to make you question your value. But now you can see the pattern. Now you notice the tone, the energy, the disguised insecurity hidden inside casual conversations. And awareness changes everything, because once you recognize emotional manipulation, it stops controlling you. You become calmer, sharper, more protected, not through anger, not through aggression, through clarity. And the most important thing to remember is this: your growth will always make insecure people uncomfortable. But that discomfort is not proof that you are doing something wrong. Sometimes it's proof that you are finally becoming someone powerful.